So I've had LegalMatch now for, I want to say like 3 or 4 years, off and on. With LegalMatch, what's great about it is, well, first off, I have a practice in 2 different states. So trying to advertise in a separate jurisdiction that's about a 5-hour drive from me presents its own problems. So what LegalMatch allowed me to do was to be able to say, okay, I want to advertise online my ability to practice up in Massachusetts. And in fact, since I started it last year, I started to get a steady stream of clients out of that. And really that's a great thing because with COVID, it was very difficult to even get into the state, let alone do networking and other types of advertising. So it gave me the ability to do that and still be able to get clients specifically in the areas of wills, trusts, and estates in Massachusetts. But also I've expanded it to include both states. So what I'm seeing is generally a steady stream of people who have concerns that specifically fit my style of practice. So estates, trusts, probate, and elder law. It's kind of a mix of those, but regardless, it all falls into the area which I like to practice. So, and it gives me that initial foot in to be able to talk to these clients. Again, most people don't know what they don't know. And so we might be starting from a very basic level, but it allows me to promote the practice that way for individual people who have concerns that come up. Again, we have creative solutions. So it's just a matter of making that initial first step, to get the foot in the door, and LegalMatch does that. Well, the biggest, I think, question is from a revenue standpoint. I guess I should have pulled the numbers up, but effectively, the cost of the membership for LegalMatch was basically covered after about, I want to say 7 or 8 months. I could look at the exact numbers, but it certainly supported my bottom line. Another thing it's done too is most people do word of mouth marketing, and I do that as well. So I have referral networking marketing. What's lacking in that type of marketing is volume. LegalMatch certainly does not lack volume. So you get a steady arrival of cases that are going to be in, you want to pick the area that you practice in, you get that steady influx of potential clients that are coming in. And from a marketing standpoint, it's good to have that consistency because you're not just waiting on the next word of mouth. And I can tell you from experience, especially just starting an estate planning elder law practice 5-6 years ago, that's difficult. But LegalMatch at least gives you that steady influx, and you can, of course, there's no guarantee, but you can at least continue to have these conversations with a steady stream of new potential clients. So I don't know how you guys do it in terms of like how you advertise it, but people when they have a question, it tends to get over to me to help them, this potential client, to at least have the discussion, and then from there figure out if it's a good fit for the firm or not. It's been really good at consistently creating the engagement that I need to make my business successful. I'm huge with the being able to advertise in another state, in a state where you can't get in there unless you've got a 72-hour rapid. So it helped me to promote the practice that, but also a lot of people, well, our firms were not shut down as far as being face-to-face, but there were a lot of restrictions in terms of how do you set up your office? How do you interact with clients when COVID was going? So I've been working remotely since May or June of last year. I'll be moving back into an office in a month or two, but LegalMatch allowed me to just keep things rolling in terms of getting potential client contact information. And again, it allowed me to continue to have the discussions over the phone. Now, granted, we would be face-to-face eventually when we get to sign in person, but I would basically put the client information into my CRM, work through the engagement letters, receive payment, everything remote, online. LegalMatch certainly supported that. So it gave me the ability to continue marketing in spite of pretty much all of the networking groups canceled their in-person events. So I lost all that, but meanwhile, I could still promote the practice, at least get the steady influx of leads through LegalMatch, which If I didn't have that, again, not only would I not be able to practice up a separate jurisdiction, but the in-person aspect was completely shot. So it let me keep going with my business in a positive direction. The client service folks are really in touch with me in terms of just checking in and making sure I'm getting the most out of the membership. I really appreciate that aspect of it. Any questions that come up or concerns. And they do also help with making sure you've got your profile set up, that you have reviews coming in. So for one of my profiles, they made sure that the Massachusetts one, the one I'm thinking of, that I had reviews up so that if potential clients are reviewing my profile, that they've got reviews. They pay close attention to how the leads are moving through the sort of pipeline process, if you will, for LegalMatch. The support has been great in that regard. And yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking at first to sign to internet marketing because you feel like you have more confidence with word of mouth. But the program itself has been great. My staff can easily get the same information, so I don't have to do 100% of the review. We come up with a system to get the information over to my staff. And yeah, so it's been a very good experience. Every day, at least for what I'm set up for, I think I average anywhere from 5 to 10 new leads a day. I don't want to overestimate that. Let's just say definitely 5 new leads a day, but if not more. So it's a steady influx of activity. And again, it's specific to my area. So generally speaking, it's going to be wills, probate, and potentially elder law, trust planning, estate planning type of leads. So because they're generally qualified, I'm able to just start the process right away. LegalMatch team, they're like, hey, you need to make contact within as soon as it comes in. So I've kind of had to learn to adjust to that and not just think, oh, maybe they'll come to me, but to really be proactive. LegalMatch does that. They've added this calendaring function, which if a potential client sends the lead, there's the option for them or me to immediately set up a consult. And if I can't immediately get to the person, I can at least have some assurance that we've started the process by letting this potential client know that, hey, I will call you. It'll be at this time on this date, etc. So that calendaring function has really helped as well through LegalMatch. So I was looking at my conversion rates. Given the volume, because like I said, it's easily anywhere from 5 to maybe 10 in one day. The conversion rate, I think, came out around 8 to 10%. That is lower than my average conversion rate, which runs around 30 to 33%. But again, that's just based on volume. So that ends up being, okay, so if I get over the span of, let's say, 3 or 4 days, I get 15 to 20 leads, I can count on that producing at least a couple of clients. So at that point, it's just a matter of me being able to keep up because at that rate, do other means of marketing. So I think that might kind of spook somebody who says, oh, that's a really low conversion rate. But to that, I would say, well, it's a high volume of potential leads in my practice area that are coming in. I get the chance to vet them. So most of the time I'm calling, or at least trying to establish some initial contact to make sure it's a serious lead. But then once I identify that it is, from there, it's just a matter of me creating the rapport and making sure we've got somebody who's not just price shopping. There's a lot of people on the internet who do that anyway. And I would guess for a lot of internet marketing anyways, it's probably in the low 3 to 5% as far as conversion rate anyway. So I think it's right on par. It's just you got to be ready for the volume. So I've used Avo, I've used lawyer.com. By far, I've converted much more consistently with LegalMatch. By converted, I mean was able to foster that lead or contact because I'm getting specific information from them from LegalMatch, and that allows me to build my CRM. So whether these people are serious and ready to buy or not at the moment that they submit their lead, my CRM allows me to use that data to be consistent, to nurture them, to eventually get to the point where they are willing to buy. Other services don't really offer that. Avo and those, I think they're good at generally sort of promoting your brand, your reputation. I do reviews through them. I do Q&As through them, and that is sometimes helpful. But I don't get the specific information from individuals who are raising their hand and saying, I need these services. On top of that, they have a different style in terms of what they're helping this to how they're supporting the attorney. So with LegalMatch, it's more direct marketing in terms of you got a person with a specific need and you're able to resolve it. So it allows me to quickly vet the quality of the lead. So I'd say those are key differences that make LegalMatch much more valuable to my practice, as opposed to, like I said, I can measure exactly what's going on with LegalMatch. And I think that's very important with any marketing tool that you have. You just be able to measure it and figure out your return on investment, your conversion rates, et cetera. You don't really get that with other tools, if you will, websites, marketing channels. So the way I get the most is to be consistent. Be consistent in terms of having somebody dedicated to making sure that the leads that come in, the people that are raising their hands and saying, I think I want services or I have a problem, are at least getting the initial contact. So don't hesitate. Don't play mind games with yourself and saying like, oh, this might be good or might not. No, just respond, create the initial impression upon them to really begin the process. From there, LegalMatch, they have their own sort of dashboard system that you can use to provide, basically to record what sort of engagement you're getting from the client. Some of it's done automatically, but some of it you can manually input. I just use my own system, so I'm just transferring it over into mine, because that's where my automatic emails and CRM, that's where that kicks in. But regardless, even if you don't have that, the way to get the most out of it is to be consistent, not to toss certain leads aside just because they didn't submit a lot of information. It's to really just try to create an impression upon them that you're there to really listen to their solutions, or listen to their problems, and then you in turn try to figure out where they are, where they want to be, and present the plan as far as how you can get them there. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing, because I think with marketing, you can't just do it just for a few days out of the month. You have to just be consistent. If you can do that, you will get the most out of your membership. I would say, first off, know what area it is. Like, focus first on what your strategy is going to be overall from a marketing strategy. Don't just pick something because it just sounds like a great idea. With LegalMatch, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend LegalMatch. Primarily though, I would say make sure you've got sort of that target, either area of practice, the niche, if you will, and geography kind of set. Now, when you sign up for LegalMatch, they kind of work you through that, but have that in mind. And then be ready. Just be ready for the amount of leads that you're going to get. Because like I said, it can be overwhelming if you're not ready for it. So whether you have to hire, if you're just by yourself, it's put on your marketing hat and get ready and really start focusing on getting these appointments set. The appointments are going to get set. The question then becomes, how are you going to handle the continuing influx of leads that come in? And from that point, then just be ready also to enjoy having your bottom line supported, which I think most attorneys want, but have a plan and then include LegalMatch in that plan.